Boo, can everybody hear me?
I can.
Okay, that's Eric. Okay.
Yep.
Let's see.
I can.
Okay, Jenny. Okay. Okay, there's Manas.
Okay, so we can share. Okay.
See, oh, I'll do that. I do want to show my camera. Show that screen. That's I don't want that. Not yet.
Yeah, it looks like I'm in a sunset or something. God, what is this?
Yeah, it does. I'm not much better here. Glasses look like they're.
Hi, Patrick.
Hi, folks.
Hey, Patrick. Okay, so there's 5 of us. Let's see.
And whose dogs are these?
Oh, those are actually the bigger one is my son's. That dog is not with us anymore. Matter of fact, he's up. I don't know if you can see him. He is right up there in that jar. And then the little one is my daughter's, and he's still around. So they're my 2 buddies. So I think what we've got, guys, is actually, I think we've got some other people that are already listening in, some of the attendees. They're a little early, which is fine. So I just wanted to go over with you guys before we start talking to everybody else. I'll project the photographs on the screen so you guys can describe them. And now we're going to do that after we do the video of the garage door. That's a 15-minute video that's really useful. So we'll do that first, and then we'll get back to us talking about the photographs and Stump the Chumps, okay? And if there's any questions, we'll see if we can answer them at the end. And I'll explain this all to you guys when we start at 7 o'clock. Okay?
Okay.
So did you guys have any questions about the photographs I sent you?
Do we have to have correct answers?
It's on the fly, Eric. You know, throw a curve, you know?
Well, do you want one sentence or do you want a whole, 5 paragraphs?
Well, Patrick, if I tell you one sentence, will 10 minutes be enough? No, really, just give a brief, description, concise. I don't want to. It's a roof, chimney. I mean, what's wrong? What do you see? And how you would describe it in your report to your client.
Do you want the trigonometry where I figured out that it was more than 10 feet away and 2 feet high?
Okay, you could do that. Yeah, you could also figure out how you determine that if there should have been a cricket there in that one chimney. I just those kinds of things are interesting to guys.
So are we going to comment on the photos rather than them guessing what they're looking at, or are we?
I think that would be better, because when we have this many guys on, trying to get guys to say something.
Yeah.
It would take. We could do that if we only had a few photographs, but we've got like 15 or 20. So if we get through all of them, what I'll do is I gave each of you 2, but we'll do one at a time. So we'll rotate around everybody. So hopefully you'll get a second chance to get through the second photograph. But and then if I can, while you guys are talking, I'll try to monitor the questions and see if anybody has a question about any of them.
Okay.
So since you gave me 2 chimney photographs, I had a house recently where below it looked like a metal fireplace, and on the roof it was a brick chimney with a terracotta flue, and that was fun. Yeah. And a chimney sweep showed up while I was there. He was standing 3 stories in the air on top of the chimney, sweeping and cameraing the chimney.
Wow.
With no harness, of course.
Yeah. Sounds like something Eric would do.
Some of the chimneys around here, how the guys have the nerve to get up on those things, I don't know.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But that's, that's something, if you're going too fast and you see a metal firebox, and you better damn well remember that when you get outside, you better be looking for a metal flue.
Were you able to look up inside the flue from the fireplace itself, from the box?
I probably did, but pretty much, thank God, somebody had gotten a sweep out there. I guess it was my client had the sweep there, and it was somebody's adaptation where they'd run a metal flue up. So by the time the metal flue got to the top of the terracotta, it was square. So how do you put a flue cap on that that lets combustion air, or no, cooling air down to the firebox? Because it's one of those double wall things. So there was just all sorts of crazy misengineering going on.
Wow. Oh well. Okay. We've got about 7 minutes. Let's see how many guys we got. We've got about 17 guys here already. So
I just got my second shot today. I hear, Frank, that you're getting yours, what, early May?
Monday.
Monday, okay.
Yeah.
And Washtenaw County just announced 50-year-olds are now eligible. They dropped it down to 50.
I was talking to Alden Gibson from Canada this morning, and I asked him if he had his. Now he's had open heart surgery, and his wife has also had some trouble. And Alden's probably pushing late 60s, early 70s. And I asked him if he had his yet. He said no. In Canada, they're only 80-year-olds and above so far. And he's a high risk on top of that, but so he's not going to get his for a while. What about you, Eric? Did you qualify?
I do. I'm 69 and I got the diabetes, so that kind of qualifies me. But I haven't got the shot yet. Donna got her first shot through Lake County, but I'll get around to it. Where'd you get yours, Frank?
Walgreens.
Walgreens is apparently they've had a little problem with their scheduling system, I heard.
Yeah. 1 second, Eric. For those of you, if any of you who are joining us, this is the Dr. Radio broadcast. If you think this is a great next chapter, forget it.
Old guys do this.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I play poker once a month with some neighbors, and for the first half hour, we didn't even shuffle the cards. We just, okay, so what's going on? We get it all out in the open, and then we can start. Yeah, Walgreens, they tried, but the frustrating thing to me was you get on the site and it would just come right out and say, no, there's none available, none available. But then another day it would come up and say, yes, there are some available. You type in your zip code. And then there might be 5 or 10 or 15 time slots, available. So I would click on the first one, earlier the better, right? So I click on the first one. You have to go back a screen. And then it said, no, sorry, none available. So then you go back to the other screen and the next one, no. And it just kept going. Finally, after a couple of weeks of that, I went to the last, whenever I got that screen that came up, I would go to the last one of the day, click on that, and that's how I finally got it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I tell you, it was frustrating.
Now you have to go back for a second one with this.
Yeah.
Because they're starting to have them now with one shot.
Yeah, the Johnson & Johnson, yeah.
Yeah, Johnson & Johnson. And then another one I just saw briefly today, I don't remember the manufacturer, 96% 50% effective. It was almost all the way up
Yeah.
on effectiveness. So anyway,
Yeah.
but I still have to do it.
Patrick, you get Pfizer, right? And I think they're making those in Detroit, aren't they?
No, Pfizer is out by Kalamazoo, Marshall.
Well,
So,
yeah.
so southwest Michigan,
Oh, I thought it was on the east.
over where Tim Bunch is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're rolling it right out. It's funny. Michigan was trying to get vaccine, and we were making it.
Yeah.
A Michigan facility was, there's FedEx trucks there taking it all over the country, and we're begging the federal government for vaccine. Well, finally now, our health department was the one that won for me. They're the ones that came through.
Good. Well, you should have just hijacked the truck, you could sell it. Yeah. Well, my sister lives in far west suburb, Glen Ellen, near Chicago, and she went all the way down to the United Center yesterday in Chicago, and was able to get her and her husband got their shots. Okay, so let's see. So we've got more people joining. That's good. Again, for you folks who are listening, this is the Doctor Radio Show. We'll be starting in about 2 minutes, guys. I was expecting Lon to be here, and it looks like Don Randazzo is on the. Let's see, Don's got his hand up. I think Don is on with the regular people instead of being here on the with us. Let's see. All right, good. Okay. Oh, Joe says he can hear me. Joe just got his COVID shot. Okay. And Don says, yeah, Don, I see you on here, and when we Don Randazzo, and when it's time for you to do your part, I'll unmute you. Okay. Same thing with you, Joe. Okay, so we got about 30 seconds. So I guess before this is close enough. I think we've got quite a few people here on already. So everyone who's attending the conference, I just want to let you know what we're going to do here. We have a panel. You probably can see some of us on your screen. These are the chumps. These are the guys that have volunteered to make fools of themselves with the photographs we're going to show. But before we get to them, we're going to play a video that was produced about garage door operators and how home inspectors can inspect them. And it's the International Door Association and the Door and Access System Manufacturers Association. This video was created with the help from ASHI, and some members of ASHI helped. And so it really does concentrate on what a home inspector should do when he's checking an automatic garage door operator. So it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and start the video, and then after the video is over, then we're gonna play Stump the Chumps. Okay. So let me get this switched over, and hang on 1 second. Show screen. And hey, you chumps, go. Let me know when you can see my screen, okay? Nobody see it yet?
We see your screen, but we don't see anything playing.
Oh boy. I'm wondering if they have this set so that you cannot allow it to be broadcast. Well, this is too bad. Okay, guys, well, I guess we're going to have to do, let me stop the music. Can you hear music?
No.
Nope.
No, okay, so it's not going to let me do it. They probably have this copyrighted. Shoot. Okay, let me stop this. Hang on 1 second, guys. Okay. So, guys, I guess we're not going to be able to. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to see this this video. Apparently, they won't let me project it to other people. I'll try to figure out a way to do it, and if we can put it online, we'll do that. We'll put it on the GLC Gmail site, and so what we're going to do then, we'll get right to the stumping the chumps here. What we have, guys, is we've got some photographs that have been taken over the years. Some of them have been sent in by our inspectors, and others were done when we did when the Great Lakes chapter did peer reviews of houses that we actually inspected. And so we're going to start with now. I know a lot of you guys may be in big cities, may not see this often, but a lot of you guys who do some septic systems, you may see some of these. So let me just get my screen shared here, and let me know, guys, if you can see. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let me put this on full screen. Okay. So now, oops, sorry. Hang on. Wrong one. Okay. Okay, so you can see this. Manas sent this to me, and Manas, if you want to describe this, what you're seeing here for everybody.
Yeah, so what we have here is a septic system that was out in the country. This is the creek that was about a quarter of a mile away from the house, where I suspected where it goes to because I did not find any absorption field at all. So what I did is I was able to distribute this red dye into it and keep running the water, and then followed the creek until I found it. Which to this day it's still that way. They decided not to fix it, and I don't have any jurisdictions to tell the health department that, you know, hey, this is going on. But actually, quite a number of these are in the northwest part of our county where I'm at, because of the heavy soils. They're just dumping into the river, into the creeks.
Wow. Huh. So can you actually see raw sewage there? Something. I mean, clearly you probably could if you see this dye.
They have a septic tank, obviously, and then if you pump that, you're getting the, you know, the solids and discard it that way. But as far as the effluent, all the liquids are flowing into the field tile going into the creek.
Wow. Okay, so guys that are watching this, if you have any questions, go to the question tab on your control panel, and just type in, just say like septic, and then ask your question. We may not, because we have time constraints here, I'll try to pay attention and see what we can get back to the inspector that's narrating this. Okay. So let's see. Here's another good one. I really kind of liked this one, Manas. Since you're still on the call, let me get this one out of the way. And why don't you tell us what this is? And before you tell us, Manas, you guys take a look at this and see if you can guess it. where are we and what are we looking at here, Manas?
Well, this is inside a septic tank, and you may very well guess what this is, but anybody want to take a shot at it?
I don't see anybody guessing, but I'm going to say, well, it sort of looks like a bottle with a little end on it, but I don't see how that would work. What would you say the diameter of that thing was?
Well, it's kind of hard to tell, but let's just say it's latex, pretty much. And whatever people do in their bathroom, in their bedrooms and bathroom, they flush it down the toilet, and this is where it ends up to.
Wow.
It's a condom.
Wow. Oh man.
You'd be surprised what I see in these tanks. I've seen anything from neckties to toys to eggshells. People run, all kinds of stuff down there. But probably most common are these condoms.
Really?
And whenever I see that, I make sure that they get it pumped out. And I always can tell people's lifestyles when you look in their septics.
That's good. Okay, well, good. Well, Manas, while we got you on a roll, let's look at something maybe a little bit different. I found this to be kind of an interesting photograph. What do we got here? First of all, everybody kind of look at this and see if you can think to yourself what this might be. But okay, Manas, why don't you let us know?
Well, this is my Samsung smartphone. I do have Pandora as far as music. This is a brand new construction, and as you see my ladder there, I'm above the first level in the attic level. So it was a slab. So the dryer vent went up through the wall, through the attic, under the insulation, but I could not determine is it connected. So I had this clever idea of taking a twig and just make myself a little shelf, turn my music on, go inside, and if sound carries through, it's very likely connected. So that was my check to see if that dryer vent is connected.
Okay.
The buyers were inside, and they were all of a sudden they heard this music, so they went to see where it coming from, and it was coming out of the dryer vent as I walked in there, and they were kind of surprised of what I was doing. This is my way of checking it.
I see. So okay. So at first, when you said that, I thought you had some sort of app on your phone that when you turn the dryer on, it heard the sound coming out. But I don't know why you would need that. But what you're saying, you're just playing music.
This was just a sound check to see if the continuity of that dryer vent was connected.
Okay.
This reminds me of that old song, Leader of the Laundromat. I don't know if you guys remember that. I might be dating myself, but anyway, sorry.
Oh,
very interesting. Now, do you always carry those that device that holds the phone up with you?
No, that was in the yard. Those are usually a dime a dozen.
Interesting. Wow. Well, okay. I guess so long as somebody doesn't turn the dryer on with the clothes actually being dried, your phone will be okay.
Well, if there was a dryer connected, I would have ran that and went outside and checked to see if it was blowing through there, but there was no dryer there, so this was my alternative.
Okay. Well, that's actually a pretty good idea. I like that. Well, let's see now. I think we got another one. Let me see here. There's something related. Well, we'll probably get to that. Let's see. Well, let's see now. I wanted to see if Lon Grossman was with us. Let me. Okay, Lon is here. Lon, I'm going to unmute you. Hang on one second, sir. And I'm going to make this bigger. Hang on one second, Lon.
Hi there.
Hi, Lon.
Hey,
We can hear
everybody.
you okay.
Oh, great. It's been so frustrating for me. I started at 22. I couldn't get on my computer, but I'm on my phone. And I thought maybe I screwed up because you couldn't hear me, whatever, or see me.
Okay, well, we can definitely hear you. So you cannot see, you can't see the screen?
Oh, I can see the screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, good, good.
Why
Okay,
am I-
well, why don't you tell us what we have here?
Well, the first picture, I think this is, remember, I am only seeing this one picture and not the whole picture. But to me, this is the back wall of a garage, because you can see the grass underneath it. And I think my wife may have been there, because usually she stops with the car when it gets to the dining room. So that's what it looked like to me, that a car bumper hit the back wall of a garage
Oh,
and
I
knocked
see
it
it now.
off.
I see the
Nice.
green
Now, I don't know,
patch.
am I right or wrong?
I think that's exactly what it looks like to me. Now, Patrick, did you say something?
Yeah, I figured it out because I can see the grass outside.
Yeah, yeah.
Right.
There's
Wow.
a 3.5 inch by 4 foot slot of grass.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought, but we've all seen that before, where people just take the car and just hit the wall with their bumper, not knowing it, and push the back wall in. So that's not uncommon, but it's fixable.
Yeah. Well, now it looks to me like the sill plate there is just sitting right on the CMUs. Looks like maybe another inch or two, and that's going to go off, and you're going to drop down into the yard, however far that is. I don't know how far it is, but you know,
Yeah.
yeah, that could be
Yeah. I don't
dangerous.
think it'll drop, but yeah, it's still not good.
Yeah. Okay.
The way that you write that one up is you say it's time to pull their license.
Good point, Patrick. Good point.
Yeah, I guess. So, Lon, what would be well, not that we as inspectors have to know this, but any idea how difficult it would be to repair that?
That one really doesn't look that hard to me. I think you can trim something. First, you definitely would replace the sill plate.
Uh-huh.
And then you may have to trim some of the studs, the cripples there under the window. And then I think you can knock it back in place and block it in.
Okay. Now, should maybe this, well, I don't know if it would have happened or not, but it doesn't look like there's any bolts holding it down. I don't know where they would fasten to, though, the sill plate to the CMUs, unless you pour concrete. Wait, maybe there is one. Let's see. I don't know if you guys can see the plus sign right there. Can you kind of see what I'm?
Yes.
Yeah, it looks like a bolt.
That might be a stud or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Huh. Okay. Interesting. Okay. Thanks, Lon. Well, Lon, while we've got you on there, I think we've got another one for you here. Let's see.
Yeah.
Let me make it bigger. Okay.
But now we all know what this is. And this is probably a parged or plastered over basement wall. And that's hydrostatic pressure. Now we have a lot of all the other members on too as well, right?
We've got what,
Frank?
what's that?
It's the 6, 7 of us. It's all the
Oh,
members are
no.
on this.
No, we've got like 30 some people on already.
Oh, great. So maybe some people aren't familiar with it, but this is hydrostatic pressure, and it's usually about 3 to 5 feet, 3 to 4 feet from the top of a basement wall, and it's the ground outside is is sloped towards the house, gutters overflowing. Or they put the planters around they put those rubber barriers around to have a garden there. It traps water, and when the water freezes, that's the freeze line, and it pushes the wall right in. I have actually seen it pushed in in the basement wall in a house in Birmingham they had hydrostatic pressure. Then they put a deck on top of that ground, and the basement wall collapsed in 4 years.
Wow.
So yes, and that's an easy thing. It's something you got to look for as an inspector. And if you're in doubt, sometimes you can see it sometimes from the outside when the brick or the foundation is pushed outward back there. But if you're in doubt, just take. I used to take, and I still have it in my tool case. a string, just a piece of string with a water.
I'm getting some feedback, Lon. Sounds like you're talking about
Yeah.
a plumb bob, a homemade plumb bob.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm making. That's somebody else.
Yeah. Okay. So I think what Lon's trying to say, maybe can you, let me mute you, Lon, for a second. Oh, no, that's somebody else. Okay, Lon, I'm gonna unmute you.
Yes.
You can talk again.
Yeah.
It's somebody else.
Yeah. I think somebody was trying to offer.
Hmm.
I'm
Okay.
here, but I'm holding off when he's talking.
Okay, so I'll tell you what, the other guys that are the chumps here, could you mute yourselves for a minute? Because we'll see who somebody's interfering us in this here. Hmm. Well, not sure why that's happening. Okay, there we go. Okay, Lon, go ahead.
Okay, you got. So you've got me muted. Oh no, okay, I'm back now. So that's hydrostatic pressure, and if it's not pushed, I tell people if it's only pushed in just a little, and what you're looking for in a block wall is a horizontal crack, and like I said, 3 to 4 courses down from the top, and or if it's been, especially if it's been patched and painted, and then it's recracking, that's always a great sign.
Hmm.
But look for shelving nearby or a post or something that looks like that's close to it. That's wood or metal, and you can see the bend in it. And it's something important to tell your clients.
Okay. Yeah, it
This
looks to me like looking at the back wall, which looks like it's the paneling. I wonder if they cut that out along the foundation over time, or has the foundation just pushed beyond it to where that wall was there originally? The workbench looks like it's kind of helping to hold it a little bit, maybe, huh?
Yeah, I think that's pushed it in.
Yeah.
I don't
So
believe it was cut. If you look at the wood, it just doesn't look like it was put that way. I think it was pushed inward.
yeah. So Lon, what would you describe this on your report for your
Well,
homeowner?
obviously, it's exactly what it is, hydrostatic pressure and on the back wall. And if it's minor, I tell them what ways to correct it and the ways to make sure the gutters are kept, all the things that gets basements and keeps basements wet. Gutters that are overflowing, rusted through, cracked, downspouts dumping near the house, the ground slope towards the house, flower beds trapping water against the house, driveways, concrete, patios, slabs. That you can, if it's not too bad, you can hydrostatic. You can. I have a mental block right now. You mud jack them, the slabs. Now, but if you're mud jacking it, if you haven't corrected the cause, that's settled. Now, if something's washing away the driveway or the patio in the back and you don't correct that cause, such as a downspout you're nearby or something else, then it's going to happen again.
I see. Okay. We have one comment that, yeah, that's good. We have one comment that said that it looks to him like they coped the paneling in the back there. So he thinks they may actually cut it out to make it look, I guess. It would seem like it would buckle or something would happen, but maybe they did. Maybe they coped it. Who knows? But from the photograph, it definitely needs to be repaired, and you want to make sure your client knows that.
It looks like there's a parge coating on there. Is that true, Lon?
Yeah. Yes. Hang on. I just lost. Am I still there?
Yes.
Yeah. I am. I lost the video. Oh, there I am. All right. Yeah. That the wall is parge, and the reason I suspect, and I agree that there looks like that siding was coped in around there, and so and a beautiful job, but that parging is recracked. You'll see the horizontal crack in it. You see it down there.
Yeah.
And that the vertical piece of shelving just looks, I'm thinking that, I don't know. I still think it's something that has to be addressed and certainly has to be called out by every inspector.
Sure. Okay.
One thing,
Oh, go ahead.
with parge coating, it's not it's not difficult to know its condition. I use about a 12-inch long crowbar, and I tap along that parging, and you're going to hear if it's loose or not. So that's going to open up another issue. If the parging is coming off, it's loosening up and coming off.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay, now, number one, my attitude is you do not care, anything you need a crowbar or a hammer for on inspection, you shouldn't be doing. That's the first thing I'm gonna tell you about that. I use the back of my screwdriver,
Mm.
the handle of the screwdriver, and it tells you it's just as hollow. And if I'm hitting it with tapping with a screwdriver, and it falls off, and believe me, that's happened, I can say, hey, this is just hit it with a screwdriver. They're gonna say, you hit it with a crowbar, Eric.
I'm very destructive. If it's gonna fail, it's gonna fail for me.
Yeah.
Well,
I
when'd you get-
understand what you're, and I agree. But I use the screwdriver backwards.
And that certainly can work too.
Okay. Well, good. Okay. Well, great. Okay. Thank you, Lon. Now let's move on a little bit. We're going to get away from maybe some of the structure, and I want to put this one up, and then I'm going to have Joe kind of pecking. Just 1 second, Joe. Hang on. I'm going to unmute you so that you can give us what your opinion of this is. Okay, Joe, why don't you say? Yeah, I can hear you.
Excellent. Well, looks like we've got an old, this part is like a bonus room above a garage, not exactly clear where this was taken, but we've got basically a through-wall gas furnace mounted just underneath the window. Exactly where you put a through-wall air conditioner, I suppose, except apparently they needed heating more than they needed air conditioning. And then I suppose you could always shove a window air conditioner in there if you wanted. Yeah, generally we're not, I think everybody here knows we're not supposed to have a gas appliance in a sleeping room, right? So that's the biggest deal breaker with this guy. Looks like we've got a little extension lighter laying on the ground there too, in case you need a hand lighting it. So we've got a fire risk, we've got carbon monoxide concerns. And then I think if you advance to the next photo, I think it's the pair to this
Okay.
one, the inside view, and I'm pretty sure this is the exterior
Oh, yeah, there you go.
of it. So there it is. That's the exhaust to the outside. If you get right wind conditions, that can stifle your exhaust, right? I mean, that can push it right back into the house. It could you can get flame rollout. It can kind of get a little ugly. So if this was a fishing shack or a shop that you'd work in every once in a while, maybe, but as a sleeping room, no, it's unsafe. And then obviously we have clearances to a window. I mean, practically speaking, chances that the window is going to be open while you're running the furnace is pretty slim. But rules is rules. We're not supposed to be having a gas appliance exhausting near an operable window. So, and you don't even need to remember what the clearances are, because that one is well within. It's in the window casing, right? So I mean,
kidding. Yeah.
is it 1 feet, 3 feet, 10 feet? Dude, that's not even 3 inches away. Right, that is right on that window. So yeah, that's you can just call it right there. Right? Does it work? It doesn't matter. It's not right. It needs to be removed.
Wow.
Not safe.
Yeah. That's a good one, boy. So
Hey, just want to throw out there, we didn't get a chance to talk. I've got a noodling around. I found a bunch of really neat infrared images. So if we've got we need some time to fill, I got some images to throw up there that are kind of neat.
okay. Well, we'll get through these,
we'll go through
and if we have some more time, we can show you those. So those of you who don't know, Joe is a big guy on combustion air and inside air quality and everything. So he does a lot of this. And matter of fact, you teach some classes. You're qualified for the state of Illinois credits, aren't you, Joe?
Yes, sir.
No.
Okay. So now let's see. You know, we had Manas with the dryer vent. What I want to do is I want to have Don Randazzo. Don, let me unmute you here, and we're going to have Don talk about this one in just a second. Don, hang on.
I'm not on camera.
It's not on camera.
No, he knows. He knows there's a problem. This is the
Uh,
picture.
Yeah, this is the photograph. Don, can you see it?
I see it. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. I'm not on camera. Yeah, this is your dryer vent. Plastic pushed against the wall there behind the dryer. Can't imagine how it's going to be working. But if that's the exit, I don't know if you can see it right at the back. I don't know. It certainly isn't proper. They do make thin metal dryer vents. That's just as good as a 4-inch diameter, but it's about 1.5 inches thick and a little bit broader. And that probably would have been a lot better than that. For some reason, I'm not on the camera. My camera's not working.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, Don, so it looks to me like there's a lot of lint back there too on that plastic.
Yeah. It's yeah. I can't imagine how it's working well.
Yeah.
in the condition
Well,
that
it looks
it's
like some of it's escaping. Now, I wonder if Manas would have been able to see this working with his phone.
in. With the phone, I don't know.
Well, what about Don? What about the fact that it is plastic? Now, aren't there rules
Yeah,
about that?
the plastic is not an approved material anyway. That's another factor. But like I say, they do make thin metal ones. In fact, I used one on my house when I wanted to conceal it out on the porch. Built a nice protection around it. But yeah, the plastic not a good idea at all. Real big fire hazard, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, good. Okay. So Don, let's look at another one since we've got you on here.
The other one with the splice.
Yeah. Hang on one
Yeah,
second. Let me make it a little bit bigger.
couldn't figure this out. I see the 2 wires going there, but I see maybe the other wire's not visible, but why are there 3 wire nuts and only 2 wires? I never could figure that out.
Well, I wonder if it's one of them is ground wire, because it's with
It wouldn't be
Romex, I guess.
so. Why would they have a separate wire? It could be, but maybe it's concealed underneath where the open splice on the ceiling text is. Maybe it's not visible. It could be the one to the bottom left.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's a wire going in there that I'm not seeing, but it is unusual, and it should be in a box in the first place. You know, it should be in a. You never have open splices. You're supposed to have them in, you know, an approved box with a cover. Covered.
Right.
It's another problem. But
Well, I guess too, this might be a good example of why it pays. It looks like we're looking at a ceiling because there's a light fixture hanging there. So why I guess this is a good example of why it pays to kind of peer above. Another thing that we might point out is the styrofoam or whatever that insulating insulation is. Should not be exposed, should it? I mean, isn't that a potential fire hazard?
Not sure. That is expanded polystyrene. It does look like that.
Yeah. maybe Joe,
Used as a ceiling tile. But you're right.
Looks like it's foam. Yeah.
Yeah,
Joe, if you're
What's the
still on,
question?
I'm going to ask Joe if he still has, if he's still on, if he
Hear
has
me?
a comment about this. Yeah.
It does look like expanded polystyrene foam. That stuff starts getting squishy about 140 degrees.
Mm.
So yeah, and generally, like if it's installed on a foundation wall in a basement, you have to have an ignition barrier, something that protects fire, like drywall. So having that right above a light, near electrical connections, yeah, no good.
Okay.
No good.
Okay, great. Okay, well, good. Let's see. Now let's see, Don. If I don't know if I've got another one for you. I think we got two of them for you. Let me just look a little bit. Well, this is
Those are all,
this is the same thing. Here. This might be another shot of it,
yeah,
Joe. Just
yeah, there's the exposed foam, right?
yeah.
Yeah, definitely it's exposed, not supposed to be exposed without being, should be covered.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so when you're calling that out, it needs to have an ignition barrier to protect it from fire.
Yeah.
So you can get foil
It's
installed,
drywall.
but at this point it needs drywall.
Okay. Okay. So let's see. Let's pick on Eric here for a second. Eric, what do we got here?
Well, we've got a masonry chimney and we've got an appliance, looks like possibly a furnace for the chimney connector. There can be a couple of terms with those vents. This one's going into a chimney, so we would call it a chimney connector. If it was going into a main vent, it would be a vent connector. What you'll see on here is this spotting that is on the vent. Now, Lon might want to throw up when I say this, but I use a little scratch-all, and I have an arsenal of damage that I carry in the truck. But if you gently push on one of those spots, it's probably going to penetrate the pipe, and that's a failed pipe.
Eric,
Yeah.
Eric, can you hear me? It's Lon.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, so what I do on that is I rub my finger on it. Just rub my finger on it, and they fall apart. And if it's just, you can see you push on it with your finger. Not poking. I just rub my finger on it, and it falls right in. So I don't have to do that. I just do the same thing you do, but I'm trying not to take any responsibility or
Well,
look bad.
I don't take responsibility because later on I said I was never there. But the idea is that the vent is failing, and however you do it, I wouldn't even say you necessarily even have to touch it to say that it is failing. Now there can be a couple of there can be different reasons on why this is happening. It could be a burner adjustment, especially condensation that might be forming in a vent, going up through the house or the chimney. If you think about it, it can even be due to your air distribution system for the furnace and air conditioning. You think about that and how that would affect condensation in your vent or chimney.
Well, one comment, Eric, was because it looks like there are quite a few rusty spots there.
Yeah, there won't be just one. There won't just be one.
Well, the comment or question is, rather than using it all, what if you used a Cat 09 tails and just did it in like one hit? Would that work?
I like that approach too, but then I also deny ever being there.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes.
Is that elbow joint taped?
That was the question I was going to ask.
Looks to be a little bit taped. Really, you shouldn't need any taping.
No.
And then also you would want to look to see which pipe is inserted into which pipe. The lower pipe always inserts into the next pipe above it, not the other way around.
Okay. Do you see
Frank?
two pipes? One second,
Frank?
Lon.
Oh.
One second, Lon. So Eric, there's only one pipe here, but I mean, if you had another pipe, you'd want to make sure that the smaller one was.
Well, there's an elbow there. The elbow's got to go into the straight pipe.
Isn't that going in?
When you make that connection, that elbow it's supposed to insert into the straight pipe, not over it.
Well, I can't. Yeah. Oh, so that's what you're talking about. Look for that.
Yeah. Sometimes you'll see it backwards.
Okay. Lon, did you have a question?
Yeah, I want to go back two things. Frank, I think we all know this, or agree with, or should agree to this. But even if you don't even have to touch those. When you see that kind of rust spots, you call it out as failed. It's failing,
Right.
and it's also illegal to tape the joints on the flue pipe.
Okay, good observation. You know, you're probably right, guys. What do you think the cause of that the rust is going up there, Eric?
It's, in my experience, it's a lot of it's age, but again, it could be, you know, this close to the burner could be a burner adjustment, a gas, you know, the gas pressure, the air gas mixture, that can do that. When you look at the chimney in the wintertime, you see all the smoke coming out of the chimney. It's actually a very corrosive water vapor. So if your burner's out of adjustment, that can cause a lot of corrosion on these pipes. But sooner or later, they do fail, especially up on the roof. If you've got a 30-year-old house with the original B vent, there's a good chance that that inner liner is gone. You won't see it, but you'll see a lot of rusting on the top of the vent. And I've had them where the inside sleeve pulls right out. Not that Lon would like that idea either, but there will be that kind of corrosion in there. But I wouldn't tell people necessarily why. It's like the condensation in a chimney. I wouldn't tell people why, because I mentioned the air distribution system. If you've got a filthy filter and it's restricting airflow through that system, you might be getting into short cycling of the burner, which means it never gets up to its designed operating temperature, which means the chimney never gets as warm as it should, which can lead to condensation. And that can be from undersized air ducting, a return air duct or supply, or a filthy filter, or even the evaporator coil. So trying to tell people what the cause is, I don't think I'd go there.
Can I add one?
Hey, Frank?
Yeah, Joe, is that you?
No, it's Patrick.
Oh, go ahead.
So whose picture is this? I would ask the person who took the picture. The chimney is normally gray CMU, but I'm seeing what looks to be like efflorescence. Why is that concrete block so white? So either there's water intrusion from above, or getting back to Eric's theory, just a lot of condensation that's coming through that block and turning the block white.
Could be. Yeah, could be. Lon, did you have something?
Yeah, and Eric is right again. I'm upset to say, but you know, everything he gave you is the reason he doesn't. You shouldn't tell people what it is. You can say it could be something like this, but the things that Eric pointed out were really pretty inexpensive to correct. But what if you've got the chimney's too big for that amount, and you've got a downdraft all the time, or there's trees hanging over the top, causing an effect over. There's a million things that can go wrong, but one of the first ones is obviously age. It's old.
Okay.
Now, if you tell people, say, well, just drop in a new metal liner, well, that's great, depending upon your appliances, the total BTUs from your appliances that are going up that chimney, how high the chimney is. That flue liner needs to be a certain size. So if the existing flue liner is just large enough, well, then you're not going to be able to adequately get another liner in there, which means you would have to bust out that terracotta liner. That's expensive. So again, don't just blindly say, oh, just put in a new liner. That may not be always that easy.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think Joe Konopecki would like to add a little to this too. Joe, you're unmuted.
I was just saying that was, yeah, likely acidic condensation. Yeah, you might likely, if things been, it looks like it's coming off the furnace to me. So it's probably not an orphaned, chimney. It looks like it still has, the furnace going in there. Maybe the water heater goes in from the other side. May or may not have been lined in the first place. But yeah, anytime you're getting efflorescence from the chimney assembly, the masonry chimney assembly, especially on the exterior, especially near the top, right? Because the top is going to be the most exposed. It's going to be the coldest portion of it. And so if a condensation is going to occur, it's going to occur at the cold end of it. I mean, the short term is that it needs to be vented properly. Maybe a liner needs to be put in there if it was orphaned and now the chimney's oversized. The longer term solution is upgrade your gas appliances and abandon the chimney.
I have a comment. Can you hear me, Frank?
Yes, Don.
Yeah, I have a comment. Those, as you notice, they look like CMUs, but notice how big they are.
Yeah.
In my experience years ago, they were called chimney block.
Yep, that's right.
They just put one block on top of the other block and so forth. There was no liner in there. There was just what's called chimney block. They're bigger than block. There's 4 sides to them with a hole in them. And that was your chimney. And that's what that looks like, because it's pretty broad.
Mm-hmm. Right, Don. Good point. Manas, did you have a comment?
Who did you say? Ask me?
No, Manas.
Yeah, usually I try not to tell people how to fix it. I catch myself doing that though, but on something like this, I would recommend the HVAC guy, a licensed contractor to further evaluate it. To especially, like right now, I can't tell if that has a liner or not unless you have access to the roof and look down on it. So once the HVAC guy gets there, and he'll throw his 2 cents in there.
One last comment about it. It's not unusual for us to come and see, masonry chimneys that have still got like a water heater ducting into it. They've upgraded the furnace to a direct vent unit, so that's been that's left the chimney. And now they're looking at, in order to properly line, the chimney, they're looking at, for a liner, $1,500 to $2,500. Like, you can get yourself a tankless water heater for that. You definitely can get a power vent water heater for that. Now the masonry contractor's not going to tell you that. The chimney sweep's not going to tell you that. And so often what I'll let the homeowner know, or the buyer rather, is we're going to disclose this deficiency. You're going to see what kind of consideration you can get to correct it. But I would apply that consideration towards upgrading the appliance and abandoning the chimney. I mean, if all you've got in there is one old gas appliance, why are we going to try to beef up this support system for an antiquated component? It seems like you're throwing good money after bad. Just take whatever consideration you get, if any, and instead of beefing up making that chimney work better, how about we just upgrade the equipment, go with something safer, something more energy efficient, and vent it differently and cap the chimney.
Yeah, that's a good point, Joe. As a matter of fact, Randy Fogey made a good observation. Looking at the color of that furnace, that thing's got to be more than 25, 30, maybe more old. Yeah. So, it's probably on its last legs anyway. So I think I would agree with Joe and Randy. It's probably time to upgrade to something a little bit more modern and eliminate that potential problem. Okay.
I would point out, at least in our area here in Illinois, heating contractors are not regulated. And in my experience, they usually are not well versed in ventilation systems. So to expect them to understand flue sizing and all of that, you're talking Greek to them. If I think it's going to be a chimney modification, then I go with the Chimney Safety Institute chimney sweep. That's the guy who's going to know how to size everything. But Joe is right. Sometimes just going with a power vented system and abandoning the chimney is just the easier way to go.
Yeah, the only caution I would have is if you do have a conventional water heater, then you would have, you eliminate the furnace, maybe you would have an orphaned water heater. So, maybe time to upgrade the whole system.
Right.
But good points. Okay, well, let's move on. And Eric, since you're so hot to trot here, let's give you another one.
These are the uncoated brass connectors. They haven't been made for a long, long time. In our area, Northern Illinois Gas, which is now Nicor, they've been telling people to get these things out of the home. They get very brittle. The joints can break very easily. When I see them, it's usually going to be on the clothes dryer. I don't even run the clothes dryer, and I write on the report the clothes dryer should not be used until this is replaced. Now, Nicor has a really easy solution to this. If they come in and see this, they'll give you two choices. They let you, or they'll replace the connector for you. And if you don't want them to do that, they go outside and lock the meter off. So no, and that solves the problem. Yeah, these things, these, I don't see many of them anymore. But boy, when you see these uncoated ones, that's a big issue. And you want to be sure that they understand that's got to be replaced immediately.
Yeah.
Eric, can I jump in for a second?
Yeah, go ahead, Lon.
Okay, they're not only bad, the federal government says, and I have an old circular from them says, they don't even want you to move the dryer or the stove to see if you have it. That's how brittle they are now.
Yep.
If you can see it, then write it up, but don't start moving a lot of stuff.
No, not those.
Yeah. Well, that's a really good point, Lon. And I was just going to say that too. Be sure if you're checking appliances and maybe a dryer, or I don't know if you would move a gas stove, but whatever, in any event, I always try to peek behind there the best I can without moving anything, because if you do find one of these babies, man, you're going to have a gas leak almost for sure. So be very, very cautious and delicate with these things.
That's a good time to use your camera, take a picture back there, and look at the picture instead of moving anything.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing needs to be said is that the new stainless steel correct connector is yellow, bright yellow.
Okay. Okay. Well, Patrick, since you put your 2 cents in, let's get you involved here. Hang on one second. Let me get a photo here for you. Just saw you here a second ago.
Nope.
No, shoot. Where is it? Oh, here we go. Well, let me make this bigger, Patrick. Hang on. Okay, so what are we looking at, Patrick?
Looks like a plywood frame, wood frame with plywood on it, with plywood siding, wood corners, most likely a metal firebox fireplace, metal flue system coming up through the wood frame, rusty sheet metal crown, and I would call that out as, that crown could rust out. But the primary thing is it's more than 30 inches wide. If you just look at the materials, you can tell that chimney is wider than 30 inches. It's probably 3 to 4 feet wide. And that width requires a saddle, or some people would say a cricket, but the correct term is a saddle. So imagine instead of that flat, roughly 12-inch by 3-4 foot wide piece of sheet metal that has some 3-tab shingles laying on it, instead basically a little gable roof there with 2 valleys, one running down each side of the chimney. We're not doing a code inspection, but that is the code that has to have a saddle to divert the water down either side of that chimney.
It makes sense. Yeah. This is another good reason, guys, why I don't know how steep this roof is, but obviously we had an inspector up there that took the photograph. But it really does pay to get behind these somehow to see, because you just wouldn't see this from the ground. There's just no way to tell. And so that's a great observation, Patrick.
How do you think What do you think is causing that white efflorescence? You think it's from the
That was my question too.
from 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 the metal chimney? It's very unusual for it to be running down because you don't see it on the sheet metal, rusted sheet metal cap to the wooden box. It's coming in from underneath. So it's not running from the top. It's coming from inside somewhere.
Right.
And
Well,
Yeah,
in the wood.
So you've got a vertical 1x4 or 1x6 with that dark brown stain on it, Don. I think you're onto something there. It's possible that there's a lot of condensation that cycles up and hits the underside of that sheet metal and is condensing down.
Yeah, something's happening there.
Or, that could be where the water comes off that flat crown.
That's what I was thinking. However, you don't see it in the center of it, right opposite the chimney, the metal
Now,
chimney.
You do see the
You
fresh,
don't see that white. You
There
don't
is
see that
something
white.
else going on there, and you're right. You should call that the brown stain and the white stain out.
Yeah, they're not. It's coming from underneath it, inside somewhere.
Yeah.
Very unusual.
well, one comment we had that may be correct about this is Barry Whitehead just mentioned that it doesn't look like that the chimney is high enough above the the chase. Maybe that's it. Maybe it's just seeping out somewhere from inside, or maybe it's just disconnected inside. Maybe there's a leak in the floor, or who knows?
It's worth another look by somebody.
Yep.
Yeah, Eric,
Right.
would you agree this would be a good call for a chimney sweep?
Yes. Also got to keep in mind that um, these manufactured fireplaces and vents, they have a limited expected life, and a lot of them we look at are beyond that period of time. So you got to get somebody out there who knows how these systems are supposed to work, who knows how these manufacturers specify these installations. But yeah, this would be a chimney sweep.
Mhm.
So,
Okay.
so I just got a text from Andy Nearing, and he brought up that issue we were talking about trigonometry before. Looking at this picture, is that flue exiting 2 feet above something 10 feet away? And eyeballing it, I wasn't on the roof. It's not my picture. The exit point is probably 2 foot away from the roof that the guy's standing on who took the picture. But what Andy brought up is, does it draft properly with the flue just basically, 4, 5, 6 inches above that large, metal crown?
Frank, can you hear me?
Yeah, Lon, go ahead.
Okay, if you look, there's a lot that everybody's saying about it, and in all our reports, we're just going to say you got to get somebody out here. But
Right.
I think the leak came from. At first, I always call out the rusting metal chimney caps. These kind of chimneys, they're always. But if you look at the top of the chimney, look right where it meets the top. There's brand new fresh caulk there. Everything else is rusting and old. That's brand new caulk. That's probably where the leak got it underneath there. Can you see the caulk?
Yeah, you may be right.
But I mean, regardless, the wood is probably rotting. That's the whole thing, the flashing, and like Patrick said, that's. I'd be laughing if I was on the roof and saw that. And the wood all around the bottom of that, all that siding and trim is rotting.
Yeah, you see that.
So it's a big mess.
And just for
Good pick.
you guys are attending, if any of these photographs you like the way they look or something, at the top of your screen, there's some icons, and one of them is a screenshot. It looks like a little camera. If you click on that, you'll be able to take a photograph of what you see on your screen. And we're also going to put this whole presentation up on our website. So you'll be able to review this later or share it with friends. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. And Patrick, again, you're on a roll here. So while we're talking about chimneys, let's look at this one. A little bit different.
Yeah, it looks like my neighborhood. You can't say I live in the red brick ranch because it's almost all red brick ranches. So probably, 50s, 60s, 70 vintage red brick. Probably the original crown. And this one's interesting. It's like maybe a precast and then a tall mortar wash. And the entire crown is failed. So that's our first problem. Then you look down at the brick. The brick actually somehow is surviving. It probably needs tuck pointing. We can't see all of it. Typically, a chimney expert, a brick mason, is in the process of replacing the mortar wash crown with a poured crown, or somehow replace that mess between the brick and the terracotta flue. They're going to do the tuck pointing, also maybe replace some bricks. Moving up, the next thing that you need to keep in mind is that's most likely a flex event, an aluminum flexible liner that's been inserted. I always go and just touch it lightly. Often you could lift that a 1/4 inch. Of course, listen to Lon, don't move it much or don't move it at all. Often that assembly is not really attached to the terracotta flue. It's just sitting there by gravity. A heating contractor replaced the furnace and lined that terracotta chimney with a probably a flexible aluminum liner. And so that's the aluminum and metal that you see from the terracotta up.
So Patrick, would you say that a professional actually did this with this aluminum, bending it over at 90-degree angles along there? Does that look professional to you?
Well, I'm not sure I'd use the word professional, but in Michigan, it would be a licensed mechanical contractor or one of that licensed mechanical contractor's workers. Would professional apply there? I'll let you decide that. But that is the workmanship I would often see from a local contractor.
Okay. One other thing too, I believe, guys, when you see this wash, which is not a real good way to cover anything, they probably did it to try to slope things off. But there should be a gasketed material in between the terracotta liner and the cap or the crown. And I'm sure there's not. You don't see anything, but that would be another thing that should be there. Okay.
Is that just like a fire caulk joint then, Frank? Like what I understand what you're talking about, that because you're going to have some differential movement between the clay and the wash. What would be expected in that gap?
Well, they make special caulking for that. You want something that's it is flexible. Obviously, it's got to be weather resistant, and it has to be heat resistant. So you don't just want to go to Menards or Home Depot and buy a tube of caulk and go around there. But I would leave this up. I think, again, this is the CSIA, the Chimney Sweeps Institute. I trust those guys to be able to correct this stuff better than any heating contractor would, because heating contractors, in my experience, they slap in a furnace and they just connect it to whatever it's available. They're really not experts at this stuff, and
Right.
so I would definitely have professional. Would you agree, Eric? You've been there several times.
Yeah,
too, and a lot of us.
those guys, I'll tell you, I have never met one of their certified members that didn't know what he was talking about. And some of us have been down to the Chimney Safety Institute. They're down in Plainfield, Indiana, a phenomenal facility, but those guys are smart. And that's why it's actually in my report to contact one of their members. Now, one thing I think a lot of my clients will say, well, we'll just do some tuck pointing. Now this chimney here, probably you could, just looking at it, I would say you could probably get by with tuck pointing, but the Institute differentiates between tuck pointing and repair. So you want to be sure your clients are not jumping on the tuck pointing bandwagon, because they could be in for a nasty surprise on what's actually going to be needed to correct the conditions. Chimneys are vicious, and around here, they're thousands of dollars only because they're so large and so high. Also consider on some of the chimneys, they're going to need scaffolding to work on them. Well, there goes that cost. So be a little cautious about expectations your clients are having about some of these repairs.
Yeah, and one of the things I always tell my clients, and I'm sure the old timers do this too, or you new guys, this is something to keep in mind. I consider the chimney to be the bellwether of the house. It's exposed to the weather 24/7, 365, wind direction, snow, rain, and it's got heat inside, cold on the outside. It really, really takes a beating. So it's critically important to watch that chimney, because that's a failure it's just prone to happen. The odds are stacked against it. Let me ask Joe. Joe, were you able to find the photographs that you were talking about?
Oh yeah, I got them. You'd have to probably let me share my screen.
Yes.
that
Hey,
way.
Frank, before you switch photos, one more thing. The building code on masonry chimneys requires that terracotta flue be separate from the masonry chimney around it. Unfortunately, what we're looking at is standard in my area, where they have built the crown, so it is a bond, a direct connection between the masonry chimney and the terracotta flue. And I have to write it up every time I see one of these, because the code specifically says you can't bond the masonry to the terracotta. The terracotta has to stand alone.
Right.
And so you were right, Frank, exactly, in that there should be some sort of gasketing separating the two.
Right. Good. Okay. Thanks, Patrick. Okay. So, Joe, I'm going to change you as presenter. So hang on one second. Let me do that. Okay, Joe.
My screen. All right, tell me what you guys can see, because I'm not.
I see a corner of a room. With a window to the right.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Okay. How about now?
Looks like.
Picture load.
Well, there was a infrared view. Okay, there we go. Yeah, a very glowing door or something.
So this is what your door to the garage looks like on a hot summer day with a hollow core garage door.
Wow.
So infrared cameras are kind of cool. So that's what it looks like to the naked eye. That's what it looks like to the infrared. So hollow core door to the garage, not fire rated. Let's see. This one's fun. There's your pineapple. Evaporative cooling. So things drying out on the countertop. And so cameras you can have, this is just a regular infrared camera view, and this is with, it's trying to overlay visual contrast so you can kind of pick out more stuff. Sometimes that's useful. Sometimes it just kind of muddies the photo. But nice to have the option.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to see. Here's the shoes after walking around outside. And with the little visual overlay, you actually get carpet texture and wood grain, overlaid onto it. Any guesses here from the guys what this is?
Humidifier? Oh.
It is a dehumidifier.
Dehumidifier. Yeah.
So we got our cool bottom where it's condensing and collecting moisture, and obviously if we have a cool spot or a part of it that's cool to condense, we've got heat being exhausted, just like a refrigerator. Oh, this is nice ancillary use for your infrared camera. If you smell your brakes, like why does it smell like my brakes are rubbing? Notice that the hot spot is 387 degree or 386 degrees. I had a brake caliper that seized up on me, and my disc brake was 386 degrees. So,
Wow.
this is I guess just thermal bridging at the framing in a stairwell. Again, summer day. The insulation's doing the trick, but the heat is passing through the framing with the lower R value. Tile is a radiant reflector. Shiny tile.
Looks like a ghost.
That's me. That's me with the camera. So if you're seeing something crazy, you got to check it from another angle, because reflections will move, but the actual radiant heat coming off of that surface will not. So if the pattern doesn't shift when you move, then it's probably what you're looking at. Otherwise, it could be your radiant reflection. So that's just mirrors. You're going to see what's on the other side of the mirror. You're not going to see through the mirror typically with an infrared camera. That's another dehumidifier in a house we were at that had some water damage. You can see the blower unit down there. Let's see, drafts around tubs. Tubs have, the drain lines go from the basement all the way up, wall chase through the attic, through the roof. We often see drafts around there, so it's not unusual to see tub chases cold with that air just kind of flowing around everything. Here's evaporative cooling. Somebody was just in the bathroom, so they stepped out onto the mat, stepped out onto the rug, wiped their hands, got their towel. So you can actually see like a whole little trail of somebody wandering around, making things wet. A heated toilet seat. Heated bidet toilet seat. This thing scared my pants out because I stepped in there and it opened up. It opened up and said, welcome.
Oh, wow. Did it close automatically? Or did you have to, she didn't have to tell you to close the lid, huh? It automatically goes down?
No, it opened up. It opened up for me. And I was like, I already took care of that this morning. Leave me alone. Basements being heated by forced air from the ceiling. Here you can actually see how far down that warm air throws, right? It's not even getting to the floor, right? So you got your split register thrown left, thrown right. You can see what the warm air is doing to the temperature of the wall, but it's not getting to the floor. Transition, this is what we're basement wall. So we're seeing that step foundation. And the reason it's kind of cool right at the transition is because we've got infiltration air between the frame wall and the concrete below it. So you can actually see, this was kind of an, again, neat photo because you can see that infiltration cutting through and hitting the drywall. Another one, can you see at the very, very bottom? This one's got a hydronic heated floor.
Yeah.
So you can see
As
the
well
heat
as,
traces.
Yeah.
as well as forced air at the same time?
Well, so the primary heating source in this place, you would say, would be your hydronic floor, right? Because you'd want it heated from the floor up.
Right.
But come summertime, the forced air system's doing AC. While
But
we were there, we forced them both on. So we had the the hydronic boiler going to heat the floors, and we kicked the furnace on to test the furnace. And so that's why you're seeing both of them in this image.
Gotcha.
But usually the furnace wouldn't be kicking on if the floor's doing it. The boiler's doing the trick with the floor. Let's see, and more of that same. Again, you can kind of see that weird image on the wall. Part of it is being heated by the register, and the other difference is between the concrete and the frame wall installation. The step pattern is that step foundation wall. Let's see. Oh, there you go. There's the hydronic. This is pretty cool. It takes a while for it to get through carpet, and if you have a really shiny ceramic tile floor, it might be hard to see. You'll get a lot of reflection off of ceramic. But I actually, in one house, I laid newspaper on the floor to give it a matte finish, and I could see the heat signal come up through the newspaper because the ceramic tile was just way too shiny. I was getting all kinds of reflections off the ceilings and windows, and yeah, it was almost like a heat mirror on the floor. Yeah, that's what it looked like to the naked eye, and then that's heat vision.
Wow.
Let's see, more of the step foundation. We can skip that. Here, there's your uninsulated, attic access panels. Just bone cold because it's just MDF, nothing behind it. Your typical pull down stairs, just bone cold. That's your solar tube. So that's crazy. The lights we just shut off. So the lights were still warm because we had shut them off after being on for a little bit. But that solar tube letting in a bunch of daylight, but thermally it's a cool area. So sometimes a world of difference between visual and thermal.
Yeah.
Another little angle here. I think that other one's a speaker or something like that, that little round vent. We got a couple can lights and then that solar tube. Let's see. Oh, this was just running water in the tub. So we had the shower going, it's splashing on the walls. So part of it is warm where the warm water hit, but where it's cool, it's because that is actively evaporating. And so as it evaporates, it absorbs heat to go to vapor, and the surface is left a little bit colder, just like your skin when you sweat. So this is a crazy image. When you go into a mechanical room and you've got all this reflective metal, your infrared image is just all over the place. I mean, including my reflection, right? And so you have to be very, very clear about what you're, how you're translating those infrared images. I repeat, I remind my guys, infrared suggests you have to interpret it. So the infrared doesn't show you, it shows you what's coming off that surface, but it could be what's being emitted, the actual heat, or it could be what's reflected, and that might not be the heat. There's actually, I got another interesting image coming up regarding emissivity and actual temperature. Uneven insulation in the walls, right? Everything looks great down below that, that line, but it looks like they maybe dense packed this wall years ago and just didn't pack it tight enough, and it settled kind of funny. So you kind of get a weird little sawtooth pattern. Same thing over there. So it looks great. So cellulose is awesome. I'm a big fan of it, but it really does, like any other material, if you install it poorly, you're going to get poor results. You install it well, you'll get great results. But yeah, so this is just a poor dense pack job. Not sure when that happened, but I think that's radish, not radish, like a horseradish or something like that. Apparently they just washed it. Caught my eye as we were going past the produce bowl there. Here we go. So part of this was concrete. That's the lower section. And then we have block, above grade block. So again, just kind of an interesting pattern. With thermal imaging, you're really looking at the differences in temperature here. So obviously we're not dwelling on absolute temperatures. It's relative differences is really what you're it's going to be catching your eye. A good house, all your infrared is going to look just pale orange. There's going to be no contrast. And so, when we do an Energy Star house, the infrared images look just boring. So the more interesting the images, usually the bigger train wreck you're looking at. I think this was we were running hot water, or warm water was going down the plumbing drain. So that's a little hard to see, but there's a cast iron plumbing drain going down there. And that's, we got hot water running through it. Let's see, just wet stuff. Let's see, what's this? Stuff inside the furnace here. Let's see. Not terribly useful there. I'm not sure why we got those. There's, oh, here we go. Sorry, I'm trying to find the good ones. Power cords get a little warm after a while when you're running power through them for a blower door. Let's see. My brother got a pond and it was losing water. So we actually went around to figure out where the water was leaking out of the surround, and we were able to pick up the evaporating water as it leaked out of this pond surround into the soil, and then would evaporate out of that soil. So you got to have good conditions for that. So it's got to be dry enough outside that you actually have active drying. But we're able to find a pond leak with an infrared camera. There is one here. Oh, there's your coffee cup. So a good insulator, except for the lid, right? So we're losing all our heat at the lid. That's a solid coffee cup right there. Hold on, there's a really good one in here with ghosting. Okay, we'll dwell on this one for a second. When you're in an attic, a garage attic specifically, where you can actually see the floor cavity space between the second floor and the first floor, right? So this is the you know, that you look in that space, you'd be looking at the top, you know, the first floor ceiling and the underside of the second floor. If that boundary is open to the garage, that's going to be a train wreck for comfort for these folks. Anytime somebody tells me their second floor is cold in the winter, hot in the summer, right? Cold in the winter, warm air rises. How come that second floor is cold? Because outside air is getting into that floor cavity space. And in this scenario, when we went into the garage, there was nothing closing up that band joist area. They had fiberglass tucked in there, but it was just filtering the air. And this is what that ceiling looked like. So you go in the house, everything looks hunky-dory. You look at it with the infrared camera and you go, holy cow, you got a ton of outside air from the garage attic seeping into that floor, and the rooms above here were just, it was just unbearable when it got really cold. That's just an air sealing, primary air sealing, right? Because fiberglass doesn't air seal. So it needs to have some solid material that can air seal, and then they can insulate. So foam board would have been the trick to seal that off from on the garage side. That's another view of that. So, I mean, just a ton of cold air ripping through this floor. Missing insulation in the walls, or at least insulation that's not touching the drywall, right? Because it could be in there, it could just be shoved all the way to the other side. Yeah, spotty insulation in a basement wall. More spotty insulation. So this is probably bat insulation, and you can kind of see on the right-hand side where the bats might not be touching, you know, just the ends, you know, are kind of gapped apart. This was a cantilever, so we had cold air kind of coming into the cantilever and making the floor cavities cold above us. Another wet spot. Well, and there's a neat one here. This is a below grade walls. So again, this is summertime, so the above grade wall is warm because that's above grade, and then our below grade foundation walls much cooler with the cold ground, kind of insulating it from the summer heat.
Well, these are great, Joe. I would have to stop you though because we are over time already. And
all right.
But
if you guys, we'll leave it with this. If you guys see ghosting on the walls, there's your poor man's infrared, because that's what the infrared image to match this. There's your infrared. There's your ghosting pattern. There's your infrared. There's your ghosting pattern. It literally is. It matches it one for one. So, all right.
That's great.
Well, you might want to see the fun infrared images that we come across.
Yeah. Well, this was a great segue into 2 months from now in May. We are going to have a 1 hour session on infrared and as used during a home inspection. And I know Joe's touched on a lot of the things that you can see. And not to say that everybody should go out and buy an IR camera, but it can be very, very useful. We've actually done it in the past at the Great Lakes chapter where we did a peer review of a house, and we did the electrical panel. I remember one part of it was we saw that some circuit breakers were overfused, and so, you know, we didn't know what that meant, but when we ran the IR camera across it, you saw just how hot that overfusing does. So it's a great segue into a conference we'll have in a couple months. So guys, I'd like to thank you for sticking around, and I know we're a little bit over, and we try to keep it as close to an hour as we can, but this was great, I think. So I would like to thank Manas for sharing his stuff, and Patrick, and Don, and Lon, and Eric. And Joe, of course, you guys all did a great job here. And if you guys liked it, let us know, because I've got some comments already that this is what a lot of guys need to see, the real stuff that goes on in home inspections and not just theory. So if you like that, maybe we'll do it again. Okay. Any last comments of anybody on the crew here?
Thank you, Frank, for putting this together.
Thanks, Frank.
Great
Thank you.
job.
Thank you.
Frank.
No problem, guys. I think I'm glad it worked out. Yeah, so thank you, everybody, and like I said, we're gonna put this on the website. So we'll probably send out a link when it's available, and you can look at it at your leisure.
Hey, Frank, it's going to be on the YouTube channel too, everybody.
Okay, YouTube channel. Okay, so
Yeah.
and Jenny, how do they get to that? What do they look at to get to it?
Go to YouTube and then just search for Great Lakes chapter.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. And Jenny was going to do some presentations too, but she's got a flight. She's got to get to the airport in a couple hours, so we're going to let her off the hook. But thanks for participating too,
Thanks.
Jenny.
Oh, no problem. I had a good time tonight. Thanks.
Okay, great. Okay, guys, take care and be
Thank
safe.
you. Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome.